Top Tier Talk. I didn't realize it's President's Day, so you would think we'd have a better showing today, but it looks like we do not, unfortunately. It's February 15th. I think we're going to cover some good information here. So let's kind of move forward. I'm going to kind of jump around between the slide and my, and a couple of, and at least our training site. So let's get started. First of all, live webinar is this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, again, we're doing these once a month, at least for now. We'll see what attendance is like and what registrations are like, and we'll adjust that accordingly. But as of now, once a month, so we have that one event to kind of gear for. I did put, let me get off of this because I want to be able to jump around. I did put email swipe copy in the Skype room. So right here, you just look at this and you get 3 different email types that you can copy and paste and use to email to your list and your, everybody on your autoresponder. Yeah, you basically need, and this is kind of historical data, you basically need 5 registrations to get one person to show up. Typically, it's not easy to get people to show up to a specific time and place webinar. But if you can, you have a good chance at, they're a really good prospect, let's put it that way. Make sure you register yourself. Let me just show you where you can do that. You can do it off your registration page, of course, but you can also do that off of calendar. So you go to your calendar. Here we have the link to this meeting. And here you can just click here and register yourself for the live webinar, okay? It's not going to be pre-populated with my stuff here. Let's go back. All right, enough about that, but let's, make sure you get at least a couple of emails. If you didn't do one over the weekend, at least send one out today, send one out tomorrow. And the marketing system allows you to send out a broadcast email every 24 hours. So, if you can kind of squeeze it in to send one out Thursday as well, the more, the better. Okay, and that, if you kind of keep hitting them with the same thing, there's a better chance that people are going to at least register and hopefully show up. Accepting payments. Okay, I was talking to one of my newer guys, Jim Klein, last week, and we were kind of going over different ways to, to accept payment. It's your business. People are going to pay you directly when you make sales. So, you need to have a few plans in place at least. Old school, I mean, I know Michael and I did this business model for a couple of years where we only accepted cashier's checks because that was what we were told basically. And that was kind of how things were back then, where people would just send you cashier's checks overnight, overnight mail. And that's still a great way to do it. And if that's the only way you want to accept payment, that's absolutely fine. People are going to, if they want to get started, people are going to do what you tell them to do. But I tend to accept payment kind of however the prospect or the new person that's signing up wants to pay. I found a lot of people want to pay with credit card, so I accept credit cards through PayPal. Jim had actually found another site called Wave that I had never heard of before to invoice your prospects and accept payment. I don't know anything about it. It seems pretty cool, but never used it, so I don't know how user-friendly they are, as far as accepting payments are concerned, if they're going to scrutinize it too much or not. You can also accept payment via Zelle, Bankwire, straight PayPal. You can probably use Apple Pay or Google Pay. We did cover that, and let me just show you if you're newer and you don't know where to access these things. Last year, if you go to Top Tier Talk and Top Tier Talk 2020, 2020. Okay, what they do, November 9th. So if you kind of go down to November 9th, how to accept payment. Okay, so you get you can kind of watch this training on different ways to accept payments.
Just before you move on, Steve, I've got something going on my end with sound, so I apologize. But I prefer to use, and you should try to use whatever your member wants or your new member wants, but I try to recommend either a bank wire or certified check when I'm working with some. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you tend to get your money a lot quicker that way if you do a wire transfer in particular, and the costs are minimal most cases, and in some cases there's no charge for a bank wire if it's bank to bank, and if it's especially if it's a bank to your bank that you use or from a bank that you use. So but regardless, if a bank wire is pretty much instant, you're not relying on mail or anything. And if you use PayPal or any kind of credit card processing, you're going to have a transaction fee for that, just so you know. So I would say I probably do 80% of my sales using either bank wire or direct deposit. So anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, good point. I don't know if I said bank wire. Zelle works kind of just like a bank wire, and there's no
Well,
fee.
except they're limited. I don't think you
Yes.
can do more than 2,500 a day per person. So it makes it a little more complicated if you're going to.
That is true. Yeah, if you're going to do a 995 or 2,000, you shouldn't have a problem.
Right.
When you do, yeah, I've ended up splitting it over 2 days, so you kind of, you're hoping that the person doesn't get cold feet after the first day and pays you the second half. So you're absolutely right about that. PayPal, if you accept credit cards, PayPal and this wave that I just mentioned are 2.9% of the, so essentially 3% of the.
I use Square and PayPal, but if you use PayPal, I recommend you have a business account and actually invoice them.
Yes.
And don't try to cheat and use the friends and family to get out of a small little charge, because I found out that if you get too high on that, you can get in trouble with PayPal.
Yeah. And what's the fee on Square? I've never used Square. I have an account, but I've never used it.
If you do the instant, they have an option where it can come within 24 to 36 hours. I think that's like 2.5% or something. But if you want it instantly, the moment they do it, they add an extra percent to that, and the money's in your account instantly.
Okay, that's not a transfer fee. That's an invoice fee. When you get paid.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so all right. Yeah, I think PayPal has a instant transfer thing too.
They have it too now. Exactly.
I've never used it, but yeah, because honestly, you do the standard and you get it in a day. That's
you get it within a day, unless you need the money instantly. Why pay the extra percent?
Right. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, the point of this, I guess, is to make sure that you have a plan in place to accept payment for when you make sales. Yeah, scheduling three-way calls with your sponsor weekly. This should be a part of, business as usual, if you will. And, it's something that I think, struggle with, not just as a team, but as an industry, is people, not scheduling enough three-way calls, whether it's they don't feel like they want to bug their sponsor, or more than likely they're not doing any advertising, so there's no three-way calls to schedule.
Yeah,
that's probably the case, but
or they may be doing it themselves.
Or they may be doing that themselves, and some people can definitely do it themselves, and others probably should not be. And particularly if you're new, even if you're a savvy salesperson, it's probably best to book three-way calls. I guess two reasons. One, because you probably are not going to know all the answers to the questions that the person asks yet, and Also, and I know we've talked about this, and we did cover three-way calls on October 12th, 2020, on our top tier talk. That it shows teamwork and support, and assistance that we're lending our team members, so that the person on the other end of the phone, the person that's the prospect, it doesn't think that they have to do this all themselves. They can actually see that there's going to be support, because there's support for this other person that they're talking to. Anything else to add to that? Because I know you have a lot of experience, even from the MLM world, John, with three-way calls.
Well, yeah, I think we covered all the things on how to do a three-way call, because the last thing you want to do is not know how to do it. Sometimes people do the three-way call where they'll get their prospect on the phone first and then say, well, hold the line, I'm going to try to get a hold of it. No, that's backwards. You should always get your sponsor on the phone first and give him a quick 30-second encapsulation or summary. Hey, this is Joe Blow. He's a retired car salesman. He's pretty excited about it. His only concern is blah, blah. And then you introduce and build up your sponsor. Okay, well, here's one of the top earners in the company, and he's going to answer your questions, and I'm going to be on the line. Is that okay, Joe? Yeah, okay. Well, here's John Novello, or here's John, or whatever. You don't want to let the prospect wait while you try to clumsily get the other guy on the phone. And then also, when you turn it over, you don't want to go, hey, Dave, here's John.
Right. Yeah, there's a fine line, and you can talk to your sponsor about that before you actually do a live one. If you're new again.
Yeah, practice it.
Yeah, but it's important. So look at your business. If you're not scheduling three-way calls, I guess then the question is why. And make it a point to do that, because that's just going to get you that much closer to earning commissions. Yeah, this is a good segue kind of into Lead Power call training. Lead Power is a third-party lead vendor that we have. I believe we have them on the site. We've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But they hold a great live call. Here, let me click this. A great live call training. Most of the people on our team are not savvy veteran salespeople, and they could use some training on talking to people on the phone, and talking to prospects on the phone. I'm sure you talk to your friends on the phone fine, but so if you go to this leadpower.net/hour-training, I'll put the link in the Skype room also. But they do a live dial training where they call purchased leads. Now they're focusing more on multi-level marketing, but same difference as far as making the call is concerned. And you just click down here to register. Now, one thing I've noticed is they're always behind on the dates for some reason. I mean, they'll update this. I don't know if it's later today or tomorrow, but I just click to register anyway, and because they're going to ask you for your email address, and they're going to send you the correct link anyway. So, disregard the date, just pick the day that you want to do it. And, but I highly recommend it, highly recommend it if you're somebody who is maybe a little shy about calling leads, which I know a lot of people are, or you're not shy, but you just feel like you're kind of flubbing, when you do talk to people. These guys do a really good job. And
yeah, these are real calls, not role playing. You get to see the real deal.
Yeah, they're actually calling, right? They're calling their leads, which are, in effect, purchased leads, business opportunity seeker leads, that type of thing. Same ones that you can purchase on our site. And again, I think, well, actually, let me see. Let me see if we have these guys on our site. I think we do. Purchase leads to call. Let's see what we get.
They're there. They used to be.
I do believe. Yeah. Okay. We got our lead warehouse and we got lead power. Okay. And we got a script. And A link to their live training. Okay, cool. So yeah, so it's all there. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it. You know, it certainly won't hurt. It'll help your business. And then lastly, I'm not sure who added this, if it was Michael or John.
I did.
Okay, I'll let you take that then. But yeah, stats is important.
Yeah, it's hard to run a business just willy-nilly, you know, not unknowing and keeping track of what you do, because if you do make sales, you actually want to know how and why you made that sale so you can duplicate it. And if you're not making sales, you also know what you're not doing. And so statistics is a way. If you've ever watched a football game and seen those announcers, they got so many statistics. On the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl, 1 minute and 55 seconds left. Nobody has ever won a game that's been down 19 points. I mean, they got every stat known to mankind. So do the coaches. If you go to a Fortune 500 company, there's usually a room, a brick and mortar, business has a room of graphs and stats are in the computers on the walls. And if they do a commercial campaign, they track it. Is my Virginia campaign that I spent $50,000, is it worthwhile? Should I tweak it? Well, you're no different. We always talk about treat this as a real business. Well, one of the ways you treat it as a business is to keep track of your income producing activities. So before you start, you want to know your income goals. Is your goal $6,000 a month within 90 days, for example? What is it? And then if you know that, then you want to keep track. Okay, how many sales have I made in the last 90 days? How many sales do I make a month or a week? How many leads did I purchase, or how many leads did I generate from taking out ads with Craigslist? Now you can get really crazy with this. And I don't recommend getting so crazy that the amount of statistics you keep is distracting you from doing your business. But just having a few of these is a great way to get started. And we just talked about three-way calling. Like Steve said, hey, if last week, because this is a new week, you didn't call your sponsor for any three-ways, well, that's one of three things. That means either you're good enough and you've done them, you haven't generated any leads and got anybody to the point where you could have a three-way. I mean, you need to know that. And maybe you didn't even generate any leads. Michael says he's got to reboot, so he'll be right back.
Yep.
So you need to, I think, keep track of that. Why don't you have three-ways? I remember talking to one person, he goes, well, I generated 18 leads last week and I interviewed 12 of them, but none of them had a three-way. And so then I kind of have to debug it and say, okay, after you interviewed, what happened? In this case, this guy never booked a follow-up after the interview, and he just left it for the prospect to call him back, which is rare. Every once in a while, you get a guy that watches that video and says, man, I'm in, and he'll call you back and beat down your door. But I think Steve and Michael will confirm that that's the rare bird. You usually have to have a follow-up call and answer their questions because this is a big ticket business. And then lastly, an important stat is if you're building up your pipeline of leads, are you doing manual email blasts out to your prospects? If you're doing not any of those, that's not good, because trust me, a certain percentage of your sales aren't going to be the ones that you just talked to. They're going to be people that are in your pipeline, some as long as 6 months, 3 months, or even a year or two.
Yeah, that's definitely true. At least in my case, it is. I was Skyping Michael back. I don't know if you mentioned that, you should definitely track where your leads are coming from too.
Yeah.
So make sure if you're doing Craigslist and you're doing solo ads and you're doing, well, those are two primary ones I think people are doing, or you're calling purchase leads, right? You want to know where they're all coming from. So make sure that you are tracking so that you can see that. And also another thing I recommend tracking is your cost per lead. Because you don't want to be spending too much per lead unless it's a great lead source for, that none of us have none of us has discovered yet. But you want to keep your lead acquisition cost. I recommend try to keep it under $5. $5 or less per lead, I think, is a good target. That's what I've always been told. So that's what I try to do. And I've been able to keep my Craigslist lead acquisition, which I do a good job of tracking, right around that $2 or $2.50 a lead, which is pretty good. So yeah, you want to track that so that you don't want to waste money. That's part of it. You don't want to waste your money, and you also want to identify where the good stuff is happening. Where you're getting your low cost leads and where you're making your sales. You want to know where those are coming from as well, so you can kind of focus on that. So,
by the way, and that can be an average too, because if you're doing social marketing or warm marketing,
yeah,
not paying anything a lead, you keep that in there. And then let's say you bought some expensive leads, $25 lead, but you ended up with a $2,000 sale. Nothing wrong with that. If that ends up being a good lead, you buy 10 of those a week. I'm just making a hypothetical there, and that's 10 times 25, and that's $250 times 4, and that's $1,000 a month. But you made $4,000, then there's nothing wrong with that,
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. No, magazine I advertise in, I mean, those leads are probably costing me, they're probably more like $15 to $20 a lead. Oh yeah, no, probably at least $20 a lead. But they're good, really good leads. So
yeah, you can't be afraid. That's probably one of the biggest no-nos or minefields in this type of business. Being afraid to spend money to make leads. Now, don't get me wrong, I was like one of the gurus of spending not much money on Craigslist, a lot of money. But when the COVID thing hit, Craigslist is a lot more difficult now. So I do have to spend more money. But don't be afraid to spend money to make money, because that maxim is very, very true. Without any, they used to call that outflow. When you're promoting, you're outflowing the world that you have a product or service that you would like people to know about. And then that's what creates the influx or the inflow, which is the interest. Hey, I saw your ad in the magazine, or I saw your ad on Craigslist, or I filled out something online about a home-based business. So you're not going to get any kind of inflow in lead generation if you don't somehow figure out a way to promote. And usually promotion means you're going to spend money. In some cases, you can get away if it's warm marketing, going to family and friends, or doing YouTube ads. If you're Google and something like that, that's fine. But usually you got to spend money. And last but not least, why does a company like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, huge companies that you would think are household names, they still advertise? So there you go.
Yep. Yeah, so I guess that brings us to the end of our discussion points for today. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, this Benny Clark. Can you hear me?
Hey, Benny. Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back. I'm starting to realize that a lot of people are embracing Bitcoin and stuff like that as a payment option, because they bypass banks, they bypass PayPal and all they scrutiny and stuff, and you get it in minutes sometimes. So I just want to throw that out there in terms of accepting Bitcoin or Ethereum or any type of crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know anything about it, right? But definitely, yeah. I mean, if you're somebody that's comfortable with Bitcoin and telling people, how to create a wallet or whatever you got to do the payments, yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Unless somebody's used to dealing with any kind of cryptocurrency, that's difficult. But Benny, you're absolutely right. If if you're familiar with it and you're talking to somebody that is on any cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and Ethereum in particular, then go for it. That's what I plan to do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a one of our competitors, that's the only way they accept payment, I believe. You know, it's passed me by to date, but yeah.
I haven't talked to many people that even have Bitcoin or crypto accounts, so that's kind of hard for me to believe, but I guess it's getting more and more.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's yeah. Good point, Benny. Anybody else before we wrap up here?
Well, one little comment I'd like to make is another way to be unsuccessful in this business is not knowing these things, because these are the mechanics of your business. And you know, invite people to webinars and don't have a variety of means of accepting payment and don't know how to do three-way calls, and all these things are the nuts and bolts of this particular business. So make sure that you understand these aren't just peripheral cutie things to do. These are fundamentals of this business.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but you're right. Yeah, they're all those are the major fundamentals. Good. All right, guys. Well, make it a great week. Make sure you invite people to the webinar. We want to get some people on there, and you know, we'll help close them for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Michael, do you still have you can stop the recording?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was muted. I do.
Okay.
Stop
All right,
now.
cool. All right, guys.